Hey everybody, today I'm going to teach you how to put a hidden zipper in the back of a pillow. Okay, and we're going to also learn how to put a simple weaved pattern around a center focus square. This one that I used is a hand stitched focus square. You can also use a machine stitched. It's whatever your preference is. Let's get going. Okay, so really quick, before we get started on the actual putting the pillow together and the hidden zipper part of it, I wanted to just really quick tell you how I did the center square for my pillow. I am using, it can be any 6.5 inch square for the focus fabric, and I am using the hand embroidery pattern that looks like this. It is from the MLS Freakin' Fabulous Fabric Club, and this is the September shipment that I got, and I will be using her fabrics from that as well. So what she's doing is she's starting to offer both embroidery files and hand stitching file patterns to match whatever the fabric collection is. So this month for September is Feliz Dia de los Muertos. I always bumble that a little bit. So what I did is, if any of you have never done this, I wanted to show you real quick. What I did is I put this on a light box. You could also put fabric in front of it up to a, window or anything where there's light coming from behind it. And I use a friction pen, a Pilot friction pen, and this is erasable with when you iron it, so that works perfect. So it looks like this. You can see that. It's just a light enough pattern so you can see where to stitch. And what I do is I use 2 strands of embroidery floss, and I just do a back stitch. Okay, a back stitch is just a really straight, simple hand stitch, and I just back stitch all the way around the edges. And I went ahead and on mine, I did a different color around each flower, and of course black around the skull. And since it's already on white fabric, that works great. And if you there's tons of tutorials out there on how to backstitch, but I just simply backstitched mine, and the finished looks like this. And let's see if I can show you that up close. Okay. So what I did is I backstitched purple around this flower, black around the skull and the eyes, orange around this one, and pink around this one. And then, if you've never done this before, the coloring in I did with just simply Crayola crayons. And I use new ones, or they were new when I used them. They're now a little bit dull, but I used just Crayola crayons. I used black, of course, for the eyes and the nose. I used a yellow-orange for this flower, and let's see, carnation pink for this one, and violet purple for this one. So what you do is you do all your back stitching, then you color in just like you're coloring in a coloring book. Color in all the spaces that you want color, and then you place it between 2 sheets of copy paper, just plain white copy paper, and put your iron on it and heat it up. And it will not go through the copy paper. Some will transfer, a little bit will transfer onto the copy paper. Just pitch those when you're done. And then you're left with this really cool colored hand-stitched square. And I used just a little flower button in the center because I thought it added a little pop. So that's how I went ahead and made my center square. You can do this with any kind of embroidery. You can also do it with machine embroidery, and I'll show you that in a bit. I'll show you one of this same pattern that we stitched out with the machine. You can use pretty much anything you want for your focus fabric in the middle of this pillow. So that's how I prepared mine. So we'll go ahead and get started on the construction of the pillow. Okay, so let's get started with what you need for your project. You can see there's my center focus square. That's going to be 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. You're going to need 4 pieces of border fabric, and those each are 5 inches by 11 inches. And I'm using 2 different fabrics from the MLS Freakin' Fabulous Fabric Club from this month. And as you can see, they've got the Feliz Dia de los Muertos theme to them. So those are for the front. And then for the back of the pillow, you're going to need two panels that are 8.5 by 16. And also one strip that's 2 inches by 16. Okay. For interfacing, you need iron-on interfacing, and I use a moderate size, medium size thickness of interfacing, and that needs to be cut at 8.5 by 16, and you'll have 2 of those. Also, a 20-inch zipper foot. Now, this pillow size finished is going to be 15 inches, but I always use a longer zipper because it just is a real hassle when you use a zipper that's too small. It just creates all kinds of problems. Much, much easier to use a larger zipper and then cut it down. And the other thing is you'll need a zipper foot. Now, this is my zipper foot for my machine. Each machine I know is different, but you will need a zipper foot for your machine for this project. Now, as far as the color of your zipper, I've used a green that really does coordinate with a lot of these fabrics, but it doesn't really matter what type of or what color zipper you use, because this zipper is going to be hidden, hence the hidden zipper pillow. It will be hidden underneath the little strip that we're going to do. So you really won't see this until you go to unzip the pillow. It kind of makes it nice for using some of those strange colored zippers you might have in your collection. And also, you know, you can just buy black or white or just a standard color and it'll work for most any pillow. So that's what you need to gather together to get started on the project. Go ahead and gather your supplies and we'll get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do before we get started is we're going to make a plan of how we want our pillow to go together. And the reason that I say we need to make a plan is because if you have directional fabrics for any of these, we need to be sure that they're going in the right direction. So I'm going to lay out my fabrics along the outside edge. And the way I'm going to do this is I've used 2 fabrics. This one is directional, because it's got everybody standing upright, and this one is non-directional. So since these are directional, I'm going to put those on the top and the bottom, and these non-directional ones will be on the 2 sides. Okay, and once you've decided where, if you have all non-directional fabrics, that's fine. Just lay them out in the order that you want them, and in the rest of the tutorial, I'll be referring to them by their letter. So this one will be letter A. This one will be B on the top, C here on the right, and D on the bottom. And I usually just go ahead and real quick write it on a little sticky note, and then I'll just attach it so I remember which strip is which when I go to sew them together real quick. Okay, and I'm going to take B, C, and D and set them aside, because we're going to start off with A first. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your center focus block and you're going to take your strip A and you're going to put them right side together. Okay, so that the top and this side are even. Okay, and then you're going to measure up from the bottom of your center block 1 inch. Okay, so I'm putting that on the 1 inch mark along the center of your block, and just go ahead and make a mark. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and clip this together, and all the seams in this pattern are going to be 1/4 inch seams. So if you have a 1/4 inch foot to use on your machine, go ahead and put that on, or mark where on your machine 1/4 inch is so that you can kind of keep all your seams the same. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clip that together, and then we're going to sew from the top here all the way down here and stop at this line at 1/4 inch. Okay, so I've got it stitched from the line all the way to the top. Okay, and you go ahead and fold this out and just give it a light little press along here. All right, and then you're going to take your strip letter B, and you're going to place that face down along the top. Now make sure here that before you flip it over, that all of your directional fabric is in the correct place, so that your critters or your skeletons or whatever you have on your fabric is upright. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and clip that together, and we're going to sew this whole seam at 1/4 inch. Now for video tutorial purposes, I don't feel like you want to sit and watch me sew each and every one of these little seams, because I know you can also a straight line, and there's no mystery to how that's done. So I'm just going to go ahead and run to the sewing machine when we need to sew things together, and then come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. And with each of these additions, you're going to go ahead and fold these out. Once you sew that 1/4 inch seam, fold it out and press this seam towards your border. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get that done right now. Okay, so I've got the A strip sewn here up until 1 inch. I've got the B strip in place, and now I'm gonna take the letter C, and I'm gonna apply that to this side, to the right side, in the same way. Just go ahead and clip down the side, and we're gonna sew 1/4 inch all along this seam right here, and then we're going to open it out and we're going to press it towards the border. Okay, so how fun is this looking? I just love it. It's so bright and pretty. I love this fabric. Okay, so now we just have to attach D, but since this is a little weird, right? Like how are we doing this? Okay, here's how we're going to do it. You're going to go ahead and fold this tail of border A up, and just go ahead and clip it so it stays out of the way. You could also put a pin in it if you want to just make sure that it doesn't move. Okay, and then we're going to take border D, and again I want to make sure that these are all heading so they're upright, since this one is a directional fabric, and we're going to just put that along the bottom of the center square and this number C or letter C strip. Okay, so we're going to put that like that, and we're going to clip all of this together. And again, we're going to just go ahead and sew that 1/4 inch seam. We're going to fold it out and press those seams towards this border panel. All right, we've got all of these 3 strips attached. Now for finishing this last strip, all you need to do is unclip strip A, okay? And you're gonna wanna fold it over, okay? And kind of flatten that out right there. And line up this seam along here. So you're lining up along the edge of this block and all the way down the end of strip D, okay? And you'll just go ahead and clip that. Right, and we'll finish that 1/4 inch seam that started here at the line. We'll just go ahead and start at the line, and we'll sew it all the way down to here, then open it out, and you can press the whole, the pillow top. Okay, so that's what our front of our pillow looks like. That's the simple way to make this kind of a weaved pattern without much fuss at all. So we're done with the front. We can go ahead and set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and get started on the back. So go ahead and grab your backing fabrics and your fusible interfacing, and you're going to need to fuse each piece of the fusible interfacing to the back of each of the 2 large panels for your back. Now when I do that, I usually will you want to put the fusible web or the fusible interfacing so that the bumpy side is facing the fabric. And then what I'll do is I always turn it over, and then I iron it on the fabric side, and I just think that it makes it a little smoother. Sometimes if you hit a hot iron directly on your interfacing, it'll want to curl up and make a mess, and I just don't want to take that chance, because who has time for that? So anyway, that's how I do it. You do what makes you happy. And also we're going to want to decide which way the fabrics are going to run. For example, with this one, this is the same directional fabric that I used on the front of the pillow. So I want to make sure that when I situate things that I don't have some going upright and some going upside down. So this is going to be the top piece of mine. This is going to be the bottom piece. And we're going to want to take that 2-inch strip that we cut. You're going to go ahead and fold it in half long ways. And then press that. And just press that with the iron. Okay? You can set that aside with your top piece. And we're going to start with the bottom half of this pillow back. Okay? So I've got my zipper. And as you can see, like I said, I get a zipper that's much larger than I need. Okay? And you're going to want to, on that backing, whatever the top side of your bottom piece is, you want to turn that over a 1/2 inch. Okay? Just a 1/2 inch and press it. Okay? And then you're going to take that pressed edge and you're going to line it up. And you don't want to start right at the edge. You're kind of going to go in the middle of your zipper. Okay? And you're going to want to line it up. The clips almost don't reach. You're going to line it up kind of with the zipper. All right, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put the zipper foot onto your machine, and you're going to want to start here, and you're going to go ahead and stitch that real close to this folded edge, and just stitch that down right close to the edge, and then once you get that seam done, that'll be right close to this folded edge. Go over 1/4 inch and sew a second line of stitching. Okay, I'm going to run to my machine and do that, and then I'll be right back to show you the next step. Okay, so we've got our zipper attached to the bottom panel of your back. And now we're going to attach the little zipper cover and the top piece. Okay, and we're going to sandwich this little zipper strip, the zipper cover strip, okay, right between the zipper and this top panel. And the way we're going to do that is just go ahead and clip it even to the side edge. And then this edge is going to be clipped even to the edge of your zipper. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and grab that top panel. And now with this one, you'll notice we did not turn this under like we did the bottom panel. You don't need to do that. This is just a raw edge. And you're going to go ahead and flip that right on top and even it up with your edges and clip that into your little zipper sandwich. Okay. All right. And then what we're going to do is with your zipper foot, you're going to want to sew right close to this side of the zipper. Okay, that's the nice thing about a zipper foot is it kind of prevents you from going over that little zipper bump. So as you're sewing, you can kind of feel where it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew all the way down to the very bottom through all of those layers. Okay, so we've got that sewn all along there. You're going to go ahead and flip it out. Okay, and you can see there's our zipper hidden underneath. You're going to go ahead and give that a little press right here. And I like to sew a little top stitch all along close to that fold line on the top panel side of the seam, just to kind of keep everything heading in the right direction. Okay, so that's your back. All taken care of, all done. Your zipper's hidden. All right, so it's doing what we want it to do. Okay, so the next thing you want to do before we trim this off is, since we've got a larger zipper, you want to go ahead and pull that zipper pull to the inside of the pillow, okay, before we trim anything. And I usually will do that, and then I will go ahead and just kind of clip it. All right, and then you can go ahead and trim this square to match so it's the same size as the square, as your front square. And I usually have you cut the back a little bit, just a tad bit bigger, just so that you can then go ahead and trim it down so it matches perfectly with the front. So go ahead and trim off your excess zipper. Okay, there we go. And then go ahead and measure so that you can have your 2 squares for your back and your front, so they'll be even. All right, I've got my back cut to match my front size, and you can see I've got my zipper pulled to about the halfway mark. And I go ahead and match up my zipper ends that are open so that they're right next to each other. And I just put a little clip there just to keep them from coming apart. All right, and then you're going to take your front of your pillow and you're going to lay it face down. And then we're going to clip all the way around the edge on all sides. And with this one, you're going to, make sure I get it even there. You're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam, okay, all the way around the edge of this pillow. Now with this, like I said, you don't need to leave a opening. Like sometimes with some patterns, you will need to, leave an opening somewhere so that you can turn the pillow right side out before you stuff it. But since we have a zipper in the back, you don't need to do that. It makes for a nice, really clean look. Okay, again, before you stitch, make sure that your zipper is open. And then go ahead and we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the entire edge of the pillow. We're almost done. Let's go ahead and stitch that together and we'll see how it looks. All right, so we've got it stitched all the way around the edge. Now go ahead and take your scissors and just clip the corners. Okay, and I just clip kind of close to the corner, but don't go over the stitching. Don't clip over the stitching or you'll have a hole in the corner of your pillow. That just reduces the bulk in the corners and helps your corners look better. All right, so go ahead and stick your hand inside your pillow and open that zipper up the rest of the way. So it's open wide and turn your pillow right side out. And I like to poke the corners out with something. I recommend not using a scissor because I've tried that and I've poked a hole straight in the corner of my pillow. So I use a like a Kelly clamp that's kind of a rounded edge, or you could use like household things like maybe a chopstick or something like that. Just go ahead and give a little poke to the corners and then take a pillow form, and my rule of thumb is I always use a pillow form that is 1 inch larger than the size of my pillow. So for this pillow, the size of it, the finished size of the pillow is 15 inches. And so I like to use a 16-inch pillow form for that. And it's really your preference. The reason that I do that is because I really like to have a nice, firmly stuffed pillow. And I don't like a baggy, saggy pillow on my sofa. So I go ahead and use a little bit bigger. Now, even when you use a little bit bigger of a pillow, you still may have problems with your corners being kind of floppy. So what I do is before I close it up completely, I take a little bit of polyfill, just your regular stuffing, and I go ahead and slide my hand in and I tuck that little extra bit of fluff into the corners just to fill it out. I just think it really gives a nice look. Okay, I got one more. And it's no big deal if you want to wash your pillow after. You can just pop out the pillow form on the inside and set your polyfill aside and wash the outside and restuff it. All right, we've got all 4 corners stuffed. Let's go ahead and close the zipper the rest of the way. So there's your zipper that you can see, and now it's hidden, and that just lays right down on top, so you almost can't even see that it's there. All right? And that's what your finished pillow looks like. I think it looks really awesome. It's really a lot easier than you would think to make a hidden zipper on the back of a pillow. And I hope you guys will all go ahead and try it. Have a great afternoon. Bye.